InShalla and Ashe. Sometimes multi-streaming can be a challenge. Hi there, I am Tanya D, holistic medium and subtle energy surgeon, merging the indigenous technologies with subtle energies, elements, and elemental beings, and so much more. If you have yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do. It really helps echo it out into the universe. It's also known as the algorithm. But the immersion of Voices of the Other World is an amazing asset to uncover secrets of the other world. But today our feelings are online, along with the energy of them in motion. So we might be kind of judging ourselves, hopefully maybe not, but the moon herself, the goddess of the night, has left the master degrees of Leo and is heading into the season of Virgo. Virgo being the body, what our emotions become with the energy of them. So we have our sacral online along with our higher heart. And Cancer is the sign of the moon. The elemental realm we have, let me get into that. Ding dong, there we go. The elemental realm, we have a Yin Wood Snake kind of a day. So we have all of the elements present, which is totally great. A little wonky in the flow, but at least they are there. So if we go from the ox in the year up to the heavenly stem above it, the yin metal, and then right next door we've got the yin to the yang metal, and then down to the rat where we have the water, and back up to the heavenly stem to the day, the yai, and then back down to the snake. So it's a little wonky. However, our day has no hidden elements to ground it, the wood, into the earth plane. There's no hidden nature. So nature, do things nature like today. Things of nature include carving wood, essential oils, herbs, lumber, tree arborists, not the hackers, more of the manicures, you know. It's not the destroying energy, it's the yin, so it's not that aggressive yang energy. So being an energy that always looks actually out into the future, sometimes the energy is scattered, sometimes it's a little difficult to express our inner emotions. So being that wood represents growth in its expansive, it's Jupiter energy, like how a tree expands from the roots all the way down into the earth and then all the way back up into the galactic sky, out into the heavens. The branches themselves get like a new wardrobe during the seasons as well. That's kind of how I see trees, you know, whether they're losing leaves, growing leaves, you know, the birth of the season, or changing the color of the leaves. So this energy is really great for achieving any goals and planning and direction, being in the flow. So the energy of the snake, however, is one that needs self-love. So serenity and self-love is kind of the quest energetically of the snake. So they seem to have battles to fight, snakes energetically, if that makes sense. So it's this thing of like rejection to contend with. So the emotions being appreciated over being rejected. So just being able to be wrong and also to admit when we aren't perfect, or when we're unable, or when we are unable to be wrong. So then we create the lies and the secret in order to kind of maintain an image, say. So in relation to the body, this energy is the energy of the spleen is activated. So that's kind of like this agent of transformation. When we radiate the positive emotions of the snake, the energy of it, we have a sense of ourself that is really quite unshakable. And we know that not everyone is going to like us out in the world, and that that is actually perfectly okay. It might ruffle some feathers, but we also realize that some energies just don't jive with us, and it's no one's fault or either party at all. But generally, you know, you're secure in yourself, and you don't have any need to kind of succumb or give into peer pressure. Just radiate a more sunny, vibrant personality. And also it's somebody who has a sharp mind. They can remember the details, the fine lines. They have the ability to like memorize and really concentrate on things. That's all energetically related to the spleen meridian as well. So it would be something like being important in taking tests, where we can see that it shouldn't be an imbalance by the consumption of too much like sugar. That's kind of what the energy of it is. Sugar is an imbalance of earth energy in general, our lymphatic system. So when we stay up too late, drink soda, eat lots of sugar, you know, We're generally more sensitive to the energy of others and can find ourselves seeing literally right through to the core of who they are or what they are saying. That person makes your skin crawl, that's kind of the energy of it when someone is not acting with integrity. So, they're generally a loyal friend and they rush in to help and support friends or family, doesn't really matter which. So as a snake person, on the downside, it's the fear of rejection. So if things aren't going the way you want them to go, you can feel you might be rejected and need to reject before you get rejected. So it's a cycle. So sometimes it's just misperceiving or a misperception, a misfire even. So you could jump the gun and really hurt a relationship in the process as well. But you're not going to wait around very long for someone to actually make up their mind either. So if they don't find you the most fascinating person in the world, you'll be off to replace them like pronto, like in a snippet. So even if it isn't a personal rejection, sometimes children, that are put up for adoption or born in this time, like the time of day, they have this kind of inborn sense of being rejected, regardless of the altruistic kind of motivation of the parents. But another aspect, which I kind of find curious with the snake personality, is the lie. So this is the meridian being the spleen, and the spleen secreting insulin. So kind of note out the play on words with the word secret. So the spleen itself deals with lies that are necessarily kept secret. So people born at this time sometimes find that they are operating from a lie, which, when you think about the frequency, it's kind of eradicating in a strange way. But the lie gets established when you're in your childhood and you've believed it over time and space. And it actually is something that you build upon during your life, and you don't really kind of know that the foundation is corrupt. So they kind of have, in a way, perpetuated the lie out of the innocence, possibly the naivety, or it's perpetuated around you, the people around you. So the energy here is to really realize through the spleen and acknowledge that everyone is not going to like us and learn to really take it not personally or even professionally. Some people just, they just quit, the chemistry is perfect. They just fit right in. And some people grow on each other, and some people just don't like it at all, They just fall into the line and it's all going to be okay. So both people can be totally fantastic and just, great, and it's okay, but the chemistry just isn't there. So it's harder in somebody born at the hour or the snake hour, the time of day, to really kind of understand the frequency of this. But it's not a personal rejection. So when the world isn't in our corner 100% of the time, we just need to find appreciation and approval within ourselves, within our own beingness, whatever that looks like. And in our own security, be able to kind of distinguish the difference between the rejection from others' emotions that people might be experiencing. So the snake energy needs approval, and it also needs self-love. That's kind of the frequency of it. So being that the spleen transforms food into energy, it's kind of this transforming agent in our lives. And sugar itself really is a downfall for the energy of the snake. And we all have this energy somewhere in our charts. It's the area in our lives where we really kind of seek perfection. And this is where we will test ourselves to find out how much people will tolerate. It's kind of a topsy-turvy thing, but this is where we also find the source of a lie, those hidden secrets, or find where the bodies maybe are buried, as in secrets. So this is where we kind of seek self-acceptance, and people will kind of mirror this kind of approval. So the time is 9 a.m. between 11 a.m. That's when the energy is incorporated into our personalities in a way. So the energy becomes numb in the warmness of the sugar and over to cover the feelings of rejection. So again, it's I am self-love. So pour more love in that chalice with the emotion or the feeling of love as well. So kind of stay out of the judgment zone. There's no need to control what you feel. That's going to just capitalize on the self-judgment or also the self-criticism and also our self-esteem. So things that often or most of the time make us feel worse, really, in reality. But be more compassionate to yourself, self-loving, see how far you've come through the thicket of the trees. So the rejection of the energy of the snake, can make us really feel as if we are raging out of control with certain feelings to the point where they are kind of boiling over. It's fire energy as well. But that we are, the thing that we are in right now, we're being in the season of Capricorn, the element of Saturn. How can we, or what is the best way to kind of manage our emotions while still being grounded and feeling that we are the ones in control of our life? So is it a lie or a secret, kind of asks the snake. So maybe explore rejection or also the fear of it. This is curious. Along with, if you feel without the self-criticism or the self-judgment, maybe explore where that comes from as well. So sometimes we have zero control over that. So kind of stay in the neutrality zone. And hang on 1 second because Diddy is not going to keep barking. Hey. Well, that's hilarious. The gift of giving when you do your live show right out of your house, right? But energetically, back to the snake, feelings of trust kind of come up, safety and security. So I would say really go with the response of integrity. That's always my favorite go-to. And what does make us feel safe? And also with the energy, what or how do you feel and what do you want to transform to make you love yourself more moving through into the next year? Because that's kind of the frequency that we're going to carry forward. So kind of tune in and validate your emotions today and listen to what your emotions have to say. Sometimes it's a curious conversation, but they just might have the answer that we're searching for coming in from, for me, another dimension, whatever that looks like. But now for fun, I'm going back to this archangel, which I found super curious. I've had a lot of loss this year, and I couldn't find another picture I liked, so I still have this one. But Azrael, I find curious, really focusing on him directly, because like I said, I've had a lot of souls transition this year, people that I've been really close to, more than my fair share myself. So part of his energy is being to assist the dead and the dying and also assisting the living. So one of the primary ways that he helps us is by guiding us through different stages of grief that we often experience after the sensation of the loss of, it could even be a pet, quite honestly. But we also experience loss when people leave for other reasons as well. It could be a breakup or an ending of a relationship, or even, friends or family moving away, switching careers, a job. So there's a variety of ways, we all feel lost. And that's when this little archangel really assists us. So the 7 stages, which I find of grief, actually, shock is actually the first stage. And this is when we are first given the news that, we've lost or we're going to lose somebody that's close to us. There's kind of a sense of shock that really takes hold or kind of grasps like the reins of a horse. That's kind of what I'm seeing. So this often kind of manifests itself as feelings of helplessness or even a way of paralysis. And then the next stage that we go through is actually denial. So this is kind of our natural defense kind of mechanism where we just don't want to believe it to be true. And it's actually normal to deny, really, because you can't believe it, right? That someone isn't going to be around anymore. So you might convince yourself that they're still going to be there, and it's surreal, right? It doesn't seem real. And sadly enough, though, we're still beginning to accept the reality of the situation, whatever that is. And then this can lead to the energy of anger, which is the third stage. Um, that's a kind of a processing stage as well. And it's really difficult, honestly, to really fully accept the situation. And that's kind of what it leads to, the anger. So anger can manifest itself as being angry towards others. For example, maybe blaming somebody else for the loss of your loved one. And sometimes we experience anger towards ourselves um, through remembering times when we weren't there for that person. So it's also natural to blame ourselves or the person, and back and forth, two sides of the same coin. So the anger stage is actually the most difficult, but I think, it does eventually pass as well. But the next stage is actually kind of the bargaining stage. So during this stage, we try to kind of find a solution to that situation, and we kind of offer up anything and everything just to bring back our lost loved one in a way. So when that doesn't work, right? It's like the weight of reality might begin to kind of weigh upon us. It's like our shoulders kind of get a little heavy. That's kind of where I feel it in the body. And then we have depression, which is the fifth stage. So this is the moment where the situation becomes fully realized. And then we start to accept that our loved one is actually transcended. I call it a transition. I don't think anyone ever, we just change form, basically, shape. So this realization kind of makes us obviously sad and possibly even depressed. So that's kind of the frequency of that. And then we have the sixth stage, which is kind of a testing stage. I feel it as like kneading the ground, where we kind of begin to look for a way to bring ourselves out of the grief. So it's, and this is different for everyone. I can't say it's the same. Like, I'm still floating back in and out. But the last stage is actually the acceptance phase. And this is where we begin to kind of move forward, and we begin to move on and look for a way to kind of do just that, move forward. And moving on doesn't really mean that we forget the person. It just means that the loss is no longer holding negativity or a negative sway over our life. So, we've kind of gone over a lot of the functions of this archangel, Azrael, which is super actually amazing. I don't think sometimes we give these archangels enough credit for what they do. But this is how he also serves within our universe, the galactic universe. So there are just aspects that humanity is capable of understanding in different ways, but he also maintains aspects of reality that go beyond what our physical minds can actually handle. So also, just being responsible for creating and assisting in a balanced life, or the balance of life, along with the cycles of life. He also monitors all new life that enters the physical realm through being born, which I also see super curious. And he pays attention to each life that has passed beyond this realm through death, the transition. So it's true that he actually guides souls from life to death, but also from the physical world to the spiritual world. But he's also responsible for guiding souls back to life when it is not their time. So what does that even mean? So this happens when somebody has had a near-death experience or an NDE. So if somebody typically or technically dies but's brought back to life, they've actually been guided by Azrael to avoid their soul becoming lost in the void, the darkness kind of in a way, or from trying to pass over to the spiritual world way too early. So he kind of guides souls back to life when a spiritual journey hasn't been reached, or it hasn't reached the destination. So this entirety of life is made up of multiple lifetimes and incarnations, whatever you want to call it. So when a soul's mission isn't complete yet, it's going to leave a dead body and return to earth within a body of a newborn, often with no memory of their previous lives, or even the fact that they've possibly met this archangel Azrael. So that's kind of how he monitors the flow of the universe, the incomings and the outgoing. So I just found that super curious and super interesting, right? So I would just say, ask any NDer out there and raise your hand if you've had one. I've had one. It was totally changed my life. But mind you, I was 7, so I looked at it as a blessing, right? But it reminds me of that song, say my name, kind of thing. And that's kind of the frequency that I felt and flew into with that. And then the cards of the day, ding, ding, there we go. So I don't know if I went back to my Sears deck, but the 7 of Cups is when we daydream our way into our future. So the options that we have in front of us can feel both under and actually overwhelming at times because they're emotions, right? So this path is kind of often, it's kind of like the path from A to Z. It's kind of nebulous in a way. And life can really present itself like a game of chutes and ladders in a way that brings us down only to lift us back up. So our desire to choose the one correct path, the perfect path, sometimes can further complicate and muddle our decisions, muddles up the mind. Because really there's no way to know everything that's going to spill forth from the cup that we choose. So optimally, the best way is to use our intuition to decide, call on an archangel, if you will, and just remember that temptation, the temptation of the shiny things, can actually be a form of illusion. While challenging paths, this is what I like, is the challenging path often holds these unexpected opportunities, things that we can't see. So you kind of want to ask your discerning heart what option, honestly, stand in front of you today. And even if things are not exactly as they appear or what they seem, truly choosing what your heart desires will often offer us the most useful kind of stepping stone at the current thread line. So it's like our wildest imagination is the greatest tool that we can use to inform our future in a down-to-earth kind of physical realm kind of way. That's kind of how I see this card. And then I grabbed the 9 of Cups, what I think is kind of juicy. Actually, I think all of them are juicy. That's why I go with this deck. But this is the card of abundance and happiness. It's often called the wish card. So, kind of ask yourself, what have you been wishing for? I think all wishes are delicious, really. But just allowing ourselves to experience and have feelings, like what can the journey be? Feel through it, and like filling our life with laughter and bliss and joy and just the spur of the moment, into the next phase of what that happiness can be, and really take stock of all the feelings, really, feelings that are resurfacing or just surfacing in general. And we all know this, but I have to remind myself even, is just to remember to practice gratitude for the manifestation of our dreams. So the appearance of this card is it's this auspicious message. It's benevolent of like prosperity and harmony and getting what our heart truly desires, or, what we have been working towards, but it's coming to us. So it's just kind of saying, enjoying life's simple pleasures and sink in the awe and the wonder of the joyous heart. But, this is also reversed, but I like to stay optimistic. Look at the other side, So being that it's reversed, it's this kind of, that gratification might be delayed. You might feel like your desires are unfulfilled, or your dreams aren't manifesting, or maybe things are blocked by greed or on your path, whatever that looks like. But, just stay really appreciating the simple things in life, and just being in gratitude, and just open your grateful heart to the gifts that really are coming, and just spin that cosmic loop that way. It's kind of what I like to do. Even when people say something cheesy, I would say negative, whatever, I like to flip the switch and climb out of there. Right? Yeah, thank you. So now we have the Queen. There she is, the Queen of Swords. So she is this highly astute, intellectual, kind of honest, the swords. She's watching calmly over her kingdom, and she's graceful, and she's logical. And she's got this wisdom that she's framed into truth and proof. Two sides of the same coin, kind of, but she's avoiding gossip and the fluff of things that others might want to hear, because people thrive sometimes on that. But she asks us to be honest in our relationships, be direct in our speech. I would say that's a spiritual truth. Be witty as well if you want to be. I think humor is always a great tune to play. But above all, maintain clarity, be clear-headed, be unbiased, at the table. And sometimes we all have a different communication style, right? I've been in the zone lately, I'm not going to lie, but it can come across sometimes as cold or cutting. So if you're kind of having trouble communicating something that's difficult for somebody else to hear, that's happened to me, several times. Just know that we can always kind of dip our toe in the cup of empathy and compassion. And that's going to assist us with how we deliver the message. So even having a sharp analysis and being careful and considerate those, on how we move. So this is just being able to clearly connect with others in a way that's really easily accepted and also understood. Having a clear in heart, integrity, a clear intention, a clear mind, that really kind of allows for the authenticity of our voice, our truth, to come through. So I would say with this card to speak with wisdom and clarity, and see kind of what is this message that we're being sent or what we're sending out as well. So we can utilize the seed sounds, which I love, of the heart or the sacral, the sounds. The yam is for some self-love and some compassion. So if you're lacking in the area of self-love, we got the energy of the snake and the moon herself, the queen, and the queen. I would totally some self-love, do the yam, and just feel it in your heart space. And also the vam, that's our emotional channel. So if you feel like your emotions are threading through and they need some validation, verified, I would do that tonality. So I would say, I know I came on late today, but be compassionate to yourself today and be kind to whatever you're feeling, and really reach out to thoughts that make you feel juicy inside and out. Self-love really is a thing, and just be in a state of feeling juicy in the moment. So for myself, I've been doing this all day, singing songs, just popping in, but I would affirm that I am in the juice, feeling juicy, and I commit to that sensation. It's just the attitude of gratitude and manifesting things for yourself, your own sacral and your own heart space. So with all of that, thanks for tuning in. And as always, I will see you on the other side. InShalla, Ashe. Not sure what time my show is going to be tomorrow. I'm kind of having this gravitational pull lately. But anyways, I will see you soon. Blessings.